Hello everyone, I hope you guys are doing well. I'm Emmanuel Okafo, and in this tutorial today I'm going to be showing you how to retopologize clothes from Marvelous Designer inside Blender. So this tutorial will be very helpful for intermediate users or advanced users looking to expand your knowledge. If you're a beginner, you can follow along. If you have questions, you can leave it in the comment. I'll try my very best to answer it. But yeah, let's get started. So I have this cloth asset here inside Marvelous Designer. And let's say we're done with the creation of the cloth asset and it's time to take it to the next phase. So we want to basically retopologize this. Okay, so let's go ahead and export that. What we needed to export from Marvelous Designer, we need to export two versions of this mesh. So the first version will be this, what we can see here in the 3D viewport, and the second version is the UV layout of that geometry. So let's go ahead and export that. We'll go to export obj selected and you choose your directory. I'm going to save it as 1. So for the export settings, it's pretty simple. We want to make sure it's set to single object. We want to set it as thin, and this allows us to have the unwelded option. So it's important you leave it unwelded. Since we'll be breaking up the mesh, kind of transferring the shape keys to be able to move between two of this shape, the UV layout shape and the whole object shape. So we leave it unwelded and hit OK. So once we have that, next is to export the UV layout. So to do that, we're going to have this selected. So you can come here and box select it. And if you right click here in the viewport, we can look for reset to the arrangement. Okay, so it's going to basically unwrap it in Blender terms. Here, what we see in the 2D layout in the 3D layout. So once we have this, we want to go ahead and export this object as selected, and I'm going to set this to 2, and let's hit save. So we have this UI again. Importantly, we set it to thin and make sure it's set to unwelded, and we can go ahead and hit OK. So here in Blender, we can go ahead and import the asset which we created. So file, import obj. So I have it saved in my desktop, and I'm going to select number 1. So let's look at the scaling, because if we go ahead and import this now, we'll have it in the viewport, but as expected, the scaling would not match the character, so it's quite bigger than the character. So we could go in and kind of scale it ourselves manually till we have it fitting. But what will be more helpful if you kind of play with numbers and kind of see what will work. So let's do that. I'm going to select this and let's go to the preset. So I have a preset number of 0.005, and let's test that. So we kind of have it roughly there, so we want it even more accurate. 7. Anyways, it's not perfect, but it works. This part is not really important, but you can always scale it down manually to have it looking good. Okay, so we go ahead and import the UV layout. So we have that as number 2. Since we've sorted out the scale, it should import nicely. The next step is to select the UV layout mesh. Shift select this, and we go to this data menu and search for the shape keys, join as shape keys. Since we have them unwelded, that means they both have the same amount of vertices, so that's why we did it that way. We can go ahead and delete this. Now we can morph between the two. So next comes the fun part, if you like retopology. So we basically want to retopologize this UV layout shape, and then it will use the surface deform modifier to transform it to conform to the original shape of the shirt. So to do that, we'll place our cursor, or we could select one vertex, cursor to selected, and we add a simple plane, rotated x 90 degrees. So it's sharing the same word space as our mesh, and we can jump right into edit mode and start retopologizing. So I'm just going to do this part, and I will pause the video and come back once I'm done. So for this, we'll just align this nicely. Okay, so I'm done with it, and it's quite easy and fast compared to building this manually, this type of clothing manually yourself with all the details. Yeah, it's not compared to what you just get right off the back. So we have the cloth fully retopologized, and the next step is to basically conform the retopologized mesh onto the shirt. So I'm going to select this Highrise Mesh, okay, and let's go to the object viewport. I'm going to set it to bound just for more visibility, and let's go out of the local mode, okay. And selecting your clean mesh, we want to go to Modifier and select the surface deform, and we're going to select this and bind. So if you've tried this process before, you'll be like, why is it working? If you've experienced this issue, sometimes it doesn't work. You get an error about convex mesh and something like that. So if you experience that, all you need to do with your high-res mesh is go inside and make sure it's triangulated. If that's the case, you can easily do that with Control T to triangulate the mesh, and once you do that, you're good. It should work. So that's why it worked automatically. If you have awkward mesh, make sure there's no triangle. So if you have any triangle, you want to kind of fix it with the knife tool or any modeling trick. So once we have this binded, we can select this high-res mesh now and move the slider, and you can see it conforms nicely with the character. So we can bring up the wireframe preview. So I have that in a shortcut, and you can look at the mesh and see where it needs work. Let's see if we can edit it here, but no. So we need to apply this first before we do any edit. But like I said, we need more mesh. So for that, I'm going to reset this, select this, and go in and do subdivide. So it might look like a lot, but it kind of evens out and looks much better. So let's fix this. Bring back our object, and let's do that again. So it's not perfect, but we have a much better result. At this point, I'm going to duplicate this and move this to a new layer and call this temp, and just hide it. So we can go ahead and apply the modifier. Sorry about that. Apply the modifier, and we delete this, or at least hide it, because we will be transferring all the details onto this. So we smooth it out and go in Shift N to recalculate the normal. I think you can find that here, so we can look for, I'm just so used to the shortcuts, but you can search for recalculate, and there you go. So recalculate outside, you have Shift N. Okay, so we have the mesh conform, but they are not connected. So this is the most hectic part, and kind of going in and figuring it out. But if you plan very well, it will be easy for you to just select two edges and do bridge, and it bridges it. So you can move things around if needed, just to make space for nice positioning. So let's select this too and hide every other thing. Gonna do that again. So we have bridge here. So if you have this, you can go to edit as operation, and you can do reverse. It fixes that. So we do it for this. I have that in a shortcut, reverse. Now we can select these two edge loops since they're connected now and do the bridge. We can even add an extra edge loop that we can use to do extra modeling on top of it. Okay. Yeah, so I'm going to pause the video and come back once I'm done. Okay, so I'm done, and here we go. So we have the mesh looking clean, and you can go in, grab the edge slide brush, and just kind of spread out any necessary edge loop. And to even smooth it out more, you can grab the smooth modifier, smooth down a couple, just to have it looking clean. Okay, so now we have nice edge loops going around where we need it. Everything looks good, and it definitely can help us with more modeling if we need it. So we can add a nice insert, extra this if we need to. Okay, the next step is transferring the details from one onto the other. But before that, we need a UV to be able to do that because we'll be baking out the maps. Let's isolate this for now. Add like an edge loop here, Maxim. Grab this edge loop. So this is something you would not be able to do with the previous setup. Okay, so we have our mesh unwrapped now. And you can see the style of the seam. This place was kind of broken out in Marvelous Designer, but we can choose to ignore that. I mean, if you like, you can do that. Okay, so the next is projection. So I'm going to be using this add-on called GobZ. It's for easy export of object from Blender to ZBrush. It's a free add-on. If you work with ZBrush and Blender, this is a must for you, honestly. Okay, so let's grab our Highrise Mesh from Marvelous and this from Blender. Apply the rotation and scale and just the whole shebang. And we can go ahead and export that. So let it open up ZBrush. So here in ZBrush, we want to move the low res mesh. So we have here, let's change the smart cap. We want to move it up. So we would test out our UVs to make sure everything looks good. So our UVs looks good. Because sometimes if the border of the UV is kind of outside the square, you might get some weird artifact with the brush. So we're good there. Okay, so we'll first with no subdivision, we'll do project all, and we'll check it out. Looking good. So we can subdivide and gradually project as we go. Okay, so we've gotten it projected, and let's go back to our high-res mesh. So it's not looking smooth because this mesh itself is, I didn't increase the subdivision. So you can always, when it's time for you to export, you can export a really high dense mesh with smoothness and lots of details if you really want to capture that. But this was okay for me. So we can hide that since we'll not be needing it again. And at this point is you going in, smoothing things out. I think we had like some protrusion there. So we can fix that. Some little sculpting. So the reason for that was, yeah, I don't know the reason, maybe the projection error. But anyways, since we've captured what we need and we're in ZBrush, that we can handle. Since we're baking it at a very high level, we just want to make high subdivision level. We just need to make sure that subdivision looks good. Okay, and let's go ahead and smooth it out. We're only looking for the big chunky details. We don't want some. Okay. So for the fine stitching details and the whole stuff, you can it's when you can use alphas to really push this to another limit. This is one great reason why you want to optimize your mesh, kind of go through the process. It allows you to get best of both worlds. You get the best of manually creating the cloth system, since you have a clean topology, and also the nice results which you get from ZBrush, and you can build on top of that, if especially if you're not like an expert with ZBrush. Okay, so grab this out brush and let's switch the alpha. So this is a custom ones which I bought and has been awesome for me. So I'm making this alpha. So we can go now here and basically start drawing or painting the details. I'm just kind of going more of artistic interpretation of what I think a shirt looks like. Obviously, you want to use reference for yours. No. Oh. Okay, so we got this one. And here we go. If you like, you can go in and sculpt in any more details like which you want. It's just up to you how much you want to kind of push it or just leave it be. Once you're happy, we can go ahead and bake it. So I'll come back once we're in Blender. Okay, we're done with the baking, and now it's to go back to Blender. So let's export this mesh since we kind of messed with the overall shape, so we can have everything coherent. So I'm just using the gauze exporter, and then I can do import, and it adjusts this that. I can go ahead and delete this. And for the cloth penetrating the body mesh, we'll change the shirt. So we can grab like an inflate brush and slowly just make it come out a bit. I didn't do it earlier because I wanted to make sure the low mesh shared the same world space with the high mesh is at that point in time, but now we are good. We can adjust this as much as we want. Even add a subdivision, probably adjust it some more. Okay, and let's bring out, should I get rid of that? Our node editor, switch to Eevee. Just my scene light. Okay. Use the color to black, and I will drag in the textures which we baked. For the normal map, I'm gonna connect it to the normal for now and add the vector normal map. Set the color space to non-color. We should see our result. And if you want to add some more oomph, you can use displacement. So basically now you're good to do anything you want. You can even use real geometry displacement, or if you are worried about optimization, basically you can use this. This is the black color. No, not you. Sky. So there we go. We're able to transfer all the details nicely onto our mesh. Obviously, if you spend more time with it, you get much good details. And you can, if we check the viewport, it's different, and rendering looks much better. Okay, so that's it, guys. I hope this was quite informative and you were able to pick one or two things. So yeah, give it a try, practice, and you make mistakes, of course, but you keep pushing, you get perfect. At least get better. So that's it, guys. Bye bye for now. See you next time. If you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button, and if you wish to see more from me, hit the like button, and bye bye for now.